All right, the color I added to this, and I hope you got the message.
Oh, no, I didn't. Only Vanessa. And
Okay, we're adding one color, brown matter.
Janet.
Hmm.
Okay, so dig that out. So we're using ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, sap green, burnt sienna, the yellow, and brown matter. So there's 6 colors we're using. I threw the brown matter in there because I wanted to change it up from the first time I've done this, which was quite a while ago. So if there's any problem with that, talk to Mary Lee. What?
It's all Mary Lee's fault.
Okay, so we're going to start. I have all my brushes today. I have all my colors today. I have my paint tray. So we're good to go. So I'm going to start by spraying just a little bit of paper, trying to go up and around the building itself. If it leaks in, that's fine. What I'm going to do is, if you take a look at the yellow spots up in here, I am going to paint those first and let them sort of sit there.
And did you spray the whole paper with water or just top?
Just this here. Okay. Did you see
Okay.
that? Okay. So I'm painting in the yellow here because I do want to maintain.
Straight yellow,
What?
straight yellow.
Straight yellow. And I can always gray it down or manipulate it later, but I want to get these colors that are real bright set in there. Let it set just a little bit. I'm going to add just a touch of green, not too much. And I'm going to paint this section over here that has a little bit more green in it. Because remember, you're always working from light to dark and intense to grade down colors as you go through this. So I'm going to plop some of these real bright colors in here, and I'm going to paint up against it. Going to go over the roof here a little bit because that's got that nice color in it. You can paint up against this once it kind of sets in. So I've let this go long enough. There will remain a softer edge. And I'm taking the sap green, mixing it right into that yellow, taking a little bit of that ultramarine blue, and I'm going to take a little bit of the brown matter just to help grade a slight bit, a little bit more. Lots of times you'll see me hit the palette over here and see how much I have on the brush to make sure I'm not adding too much. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this right in here like so. You take a little bit more ultramarine blue, and it should stay fairly well. Not worried about the white of the paper showing as I drift across there because I'm going to handle it again. I'm going to take a little bit of the sap green, a little bit of the brown, but the burnt sienna, and I'm going to travel over here, rinse my brush out for the first time, take a little bit of the cobalt blue, and I'm going to take and feather this in around this color. I can manipulate it later, but I'm going to go right into the building because we have a lot of overlapping parts here. I'm going to come up to the top with the same color, go right along the ridge of the building here. That's down lower on my paper. And I'm going to take some ultramarine blue and some sap green. The idea is to get this covered almost completely. A little bit of burnt sienna, some more ultramarine blue. There we go. Got to get this nice and dark. And I am going to put this in quite dark over here. I'm going to take a little bit of spray here and then fuzz it into, with a lighter value of this, fuzz it into the yellow and then bring this right on up so that everything remains very soft. I do not want this to be hard-edged in any way. So I'm going to take some yellow here that's a little bit grayed down, and I'm going to put it down here where it's receiving less light. And then I'm going to take a lot more ultramarine blue here, a little bit of cobalt, and I'm going to fuzz it right into here. Because this is all in shadow. Then I'll take a little bit of that color, mix it in with that yellow green, and bring it right on out. So I'm going to add some of the green, some yellow, and I'm going to drag that color out that I already put in, and it will mix automatically. I can divide and conquer later. Then I'm going to take a lot of that green and a lot of that yellow, and we're going to do the forest floor here. So we've encompassed the whole house. And before I stop painting, I'm going to go back into the house. So I need to get the roof put in, and I'm going to take that burnt sienna with the green, because that green is influencing everything in here. And I'm going to block in that roof very lightly. And I don't care whether the roof is one color. It shouldn't be one color. But I'm putting in something that is reminiscent. I will tone it down with blue later. And I'm going to take that same color and I'm going to go right over the whole building so that everything will remain on the softer side. So now it looks like it's huddled in the woods. So what I did initially is I went up and around the building like a big horseshoe. I put in the yellow. I let it set there a little bit while I was talking so that it has set into the paper. Then I went in from the right-hand side and I started mixing the green with a little bit of the ultramarine blue, a little bit of the burnt sienna and the yellow. Put that in on top because this is receiving more light. As we come down, it gets darker, so it gets more ultramarine blue, which is cooler, a little bit more cobalt as we come down. And then I traveled across and put in the greens and the blue greens over here. And then I have a very light color on the floor of the forest there, of the light green. I'm looking for
What you need?
paper towels and towels.
Your paper towels are right here, Tim.
No, and the towel.
Oh.
My yellow doesn't look as pretty as your yellow.
What's that?
My yellow doesn't look as nice as your yellow.
Or yellow doesn't look the same.
You're using yellow medium?
No, I'm using cad yellow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
yellow.
CAD yellow medium.
Well, no, it doesn't say medium on it.
Okay, CAD yellow is fine.
But you know
that-
what, the camera and the way you're seeing it on your screen too.
All right, I'll just go with it.
Oh, I got it. I don't know why I couldn't find it.
Where was it?
Right below my feet.
Ah.
I'm not saying anything either. I'm at this point, since it's dry, I'm taking the toothbrush with a little bit of water and just going to give it a little bit of texture. Any questions at all?
Mm. Mhm.
There's a little cabin down by a boat ramp, about a half mile down the road from us, tucked back in the woods. And actually, if you look at the picture I sent you, there's actually another cabin beyond this one, way in the background. And there's little people that come out of the woods at night that steal the leaves off the trees.
And I know Elsie doesn't know this. I'm not sure, Janet, if you know this either. Vanessa and Dale and I all went to college together. And Vanessa's my very bestest little buddy, my best friend. So we all went to the American Academy of Art.
I never met her before.
Ah,
I don't know you at all.
yeah. And
Yes.
Vanessa and I were in our first year, we had the same two classes, our life drawing and our foundations course. And we're like two little sparrows shaking in the first day, listening to our teacher telling us, say goodbye to your mother, say goodbye to your father, say goodbye to your girlfriends, boyfriends, and dogs.
And the
This-
TV.
This is like the Marines boot camp for artists.
Oh my gosh.
The crying that went on and on and on from that classroom. Of course, I gave my students the same speech.
Well, you know, it's not like high school art. If you want to do it as a profession, they told us that the first year class, only 25% would graduate on time. Vanessa and I did. Yoo-hoo! And that 25% of those people would stick it out in the art world and advertising. And she and I did. So that's a testament to tenacity. Till they kicked us out.
Yeah, till they kicked us out.
They don't like older women.
Ooh.
No, they become a dinosaur in the industry.
Don't get old.
I didn't.
I have to switch to my iPad because I keep falling off, but I'm gonna finish this part first.
Well, if you take it to the table, it won't fall off, Janet.
Now my connection keeps falling. So apparently it's not being upstairs that causes my connection to fail.
I understand.
I wish I did.
Oh, keep it quiet.
Now you can see the way that I put the color down after the yellow, it just lightly bled into that. So that's what I was talking about, Elsie, was no hard edges anywhere.
Uh-huh.
So you try to keep your edges as soft as you can for as long as you can. You can always sharpen them up, but it takes a little bit more work to soften them up if they're too hard.
Yeah, I don't quite have the knack of keeping it wet like and either I
It's,
don't think it's because I'm going too slow. I just think I don't keep it wet and or something.
well, it's something that you'll learn as time goes on. It's something you have to actually experience to a great degree because it just doesn't happen. I had tons of hard edges on my watercolors at one time. And another time I had this slurry of abstract junk on my paper.
Yeah, that's what mine looks like.
You know, so it's something that you'll find the happy medium with more time involved with painting.
See, mine is kind of junky, hard.
That's good. That's where you want to be.
Junky and hard edged.
No, she doesn't have any.
That's me.
It's all soft edges.
Well, I had to wipe that whole bottom out because my green was too
All right,
yellow.
that happens sometimes, not to be worried about that. But don't play with it now.
All right, okay.
The temptation is to chase it at this point. You don't want to do that. I'm gonna take this for a minute and dry it unless someone's got something to show me. You have a question, Elsie?
Oh, just so you know, there's a light spot right into your palette by the water.
Right there.
Yeah, right there.
It's a
And
glare.
then
That's from
and
the
a
light.
glare from, you can tell where your light is.
Let's do,
I don't think you can change that, but just so you know that.
Oh, I see it.
yeah, I see it too.
And when you're painting,
There's
it's
one on
like-
the right side of your picture, just at the edge of the house roof.
House roof.
when it's wet.
Oh,
Yeah, when it's wet, right where the little blue spot is, in the middle of the yellow. Yeah, right there.
That's the white of the paper.
No. There's a glare there when you wet it.
Oh, it's
Just
gonna
so
have,
you know that we can't see the color really well when you
I
put
took
it.
some pictures, so I'll send them to you.
Okay,
okay, now how's the palette look to you? I only have a little spot right up in here.
Elsie?
Elsie,
I'm sorry.
I only have
Oh,
a spot here.
yeah,
I think you're still seeing the painting pretty much the same way.
yeah,
That's about as best as I can do at this point.
that's good.
I'm gonna take this and dry it just a minute, hang on.
Vanessa's sending us some screen grabs.
So-
Screen grabs.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I took pictures with my phone.
Okay, I'm going to my laptop. today.
Love you.
Here. This one you took care of, see, and
Yeah, that was bad.
then it's over here.
That I can't do.
Thanks, Vanessa. I got them.
Welcome. Okay, good.
Yeah, there's some things we can't change,
At least not yet. We have to get new.
at least
lights.
not yet. But if I have the lights from the, from up above me quite a ways, I don't think I'll get that when we build the studio. So I'm gonna take a picture here.
I think we could use those light heads that we're using before too. you know.
Those are gonna wash everything out. But we'll try it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Okay, anybody else got something to show me?
No, not yet.
The new student in town finished first. I like that.
Here's mine.
Okay, that's fine, Vanessa.
Oh, man.
Oh, man,
I'm in
what?
such trouble.
Who did you call an old man?
If the shoe fits.
Hey,
Jeez, I like her. She's funny.
did you hear that, Elsie?
Yeah.
You're lucky you're not being graded today.
You're lucky you don't know me too well, 'cause yeah.
Well, you don't know me that well. You can ask Vanessa. Her eyes will flip up in the back of her head.
Yeah.
It's nice to have fun while you're working. And Janet has disappeared completely. There she goes. There she is. There you are. You're back.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I'm happy that we can broadcast from here without losing anything at this point.
Knocking on the wood.
So if you get your, so does this mean you won't need to get your tower?
No, we'll still need the tower to ensure things. It's right now we're going with fingers crossed. But the dish that we have, or the satellite dish from Starlink, it follows the satellites. Right now, I have it on a aluminum ladder out in the backyard. Dug in some holes so it won't be blown over, and some field stone put on the bottom so it has extra weight.
I will,
And
after
we have a cable that runs from the basement along the grass to that.
and when we're done and I give you a little tour of the cabin, I'll show you a picture. I'll take it to the window so you can see it on the aluminum ladder.
What's nice is that it has a heater in it, and it will get rid of the snow on it. It'll heat automatically. There was only one time I had to go out and I had snow up to my hips. Marily's taking a video of me through the back door, and there's something on TV with a laugh track as I almost fell over right at the right time.
I'd like to have seen that.
It's on you, it's on Facebook.
It's on Facebook someplace. And I'm looking at her going, do you believe how deep this snow is? There's a blank in there, of course. I had a struggle to get back.
Okay.
All right, Janet, here we go. Okay, not bad. You have to watch your edges back here, though. You're getting a little bit too hard edged. And your roof, I want you to lift that roof up. Call the contractor to lighten it. It's much too brown.
It is very brown. You aren't whistling Dixie.
I have a question.
Yes,
When they show their pictures, can you make them the only one on the big screen so we can see the pictures they're painting?
Sure, I can do that.
yeah.
No, I mean, if they don't mind, I'd like to see it.
Oh, sure.
Oh, I don't mind.
It's nice to see other students work.
All right, let me,
Keep the laughter down to a minimum.
okay, I am going to,
Me, who's always laughing.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
just,
Janet, can we see yours?
oh,
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, good.
It has a
it's
little
very
bit
abstract.
too many hard edges. She went back into the painting a little bit too short or too long, because around the yellows, they should have softness to them. That's fine. We can abbreviate that
Okay,
anyways.
Vanessa, you want to show yours?
And with water for the edges.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Oh, nice soft edges. I see the,
She's done.
Yeah, she went to art school and passed.
and fast.
We sweat a lot.
You printed out the picture, so I have it on my iPad.
Okay, that's good.
That's one I took when I was up there with Marilee and
Yeah,
Dale.
she's going by her photo, not ours.
Well, I got both. I got that over here.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, now it's your turn, Elsie. Me pin you.
Ooh,
Cool.
All right.
they're all so different.
Aren't they though?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really cool.
There's things you can remedy on some of the hard edges. It's not a problem. But usually if you keep it softer at the beginning, it's easier to work with later on. So as we move through dry brushing stuff, those hard edges will disappear because we're putting darks up against the light edges. So don't worry about it.
Okay, now we need to switch back to you.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Oh,
Like, there we go.
All right. The next thing we're going to address is the house itself. And I'm going to work into the house and then out and try to keep the scalloped edges of the trees and so forth, the leaves showing. So you slow your process down, as I always tell you. We're going to paint around the windows. I put windows in. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to start with the roof first. So I'm going
What
to take,
brush are you using?
I'm using the 1/2-inch pointed oval. So I got the burnt sienna like this, and I'm going to take the cobalt blue, and that helps gray it down.
Wait,
Yep, question?
oh, never mind.
Okay.
Sorry.
And while I'm looking at this color, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to it. So it lightens it up and warms it up. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in the feeling of the roof here. I'm not painting it as quite as light as what it is there. I'm also adding a little bit extra color so that it has a little bit of character to it. I don't want just a flat value roof that's showing. And if the cook in the kitchen would be a little bit quieter
Sorry.
with the pots and pans. Whoop, oh, duck. So I'm painting this right into the foliage here. I will work with the foliage later. Now I'm going to go down to the body of the house. I'm going to use my 5 round and my number 12 round. And I'm going to take the same color I have mixed up here. I'm going to take the brown matter with ultramarine blue. And I'm going to get this quite dark. A little bit more ultramarine blue. And I'm going to add burnt sienna to it. And I'm going to start by painting with the small brush. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to it for underneath the eaves. And I'm going to do this fairly quickly. I don't want to have too much hesitation. And I'm painting kind of around the,
Who fell off?
I don't know, I can't look.
Uh,
You're good.
Jan,
Oh, somebody fell out.
So
she
I'm
just
painting,
for iPad.
I'm painting around the window so that they will show up later. And I'm changing the value of the color by adding more water. So underneath the eaves, it's a little bit darker where it receives less light. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to dry brush into the foliage so that we end up with that laciness that I'm looking for.
What color is that? Because I got dropped off.
That is the color of the ultramarine blue, the brown matter, and the burnt sienna.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And I'm going to drop down to the bottom here, and I'm going to dry brush this. And now I'm probably going to go over it one more time, but I want this to be kind of laced in here to show this edge being kind of broken with texture a little bit. So if you can see that, like that. I don't want to be too soft on the edge. I want to start showing some harder edges on this. So I'm being careful of where I'm adding some of these colors in a dry brush manner.
And which blue did you just add?
Ultramarine blue. Now I'm going to take this same mixture and we have a fascia board just up above that. This is still wet enough, but it's still also going to hold its form right up against the roof and the body of the house. And I'm going to bring that back into here like so. So it kind of feels like it goes back behind the woods here. And I'm going to try to softly bleed in some of these other colors down in here. And I'm not going to play with it too much, but I am trying to get that varied edge that has a little bit of laciness to it, showing where the leaves are at and so forth. So at this point, I'm going to take that same color that I have here on the roof, and I'm going to add a little bit of burnt sienna to it and a touch of the yellow and a touch of the cobalt blue to gray it. A little bit more. There we go. And I want to add a little bit more character to the roof. And I'm bringing in a little bit of the blue-green up in here so that the roof will not separate or be foreign color from the rest of the painting. That's the worst thing you can do, is make it look like it's something different that you just added at the last minute. So I'm painting very carefully around the yellow up there that I want to maintain. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add a little bit more brown. So now we have the cabin, and you can see that this is dried much lighter. We're not worried about it. So at this point, I'm going to go, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go across from here, and I'm going to paint this section in here. So I'm going to take start with the green here. And I'm using my smaller number 5. And I'm going to start by taking some of the color that I had up in here to help build this section over here. So I'm going to start down at the bottom. And I'm going to dry brush this in. I'm looking at the photograph and I'm saying, do I need all this? Do I need all that? I'm briefly looking at it and saying, no, I don't need all of that, but I'm dry brushing it in so I get that little bit different look here than being soft. I'm going to put a little bit of a dark there, and I'm going to bring that, tease that into this area here. And one nice thing is you can put something down and then drop another color in on it, and it will kind of bleed in with what you've just painted that's still wet. So I'm going to go to the ultramarine blue, and I'm going to start painting, dry brushing this to give it some texture and some depth. Then I'm going to start going up. And give it a little bit of brown matter. Now I'm going to lighten this up quite a bit. I'll darken it up later, but I want to establish this mass over here. So I can see how it relates to this. Then I'll go over here after you do some painting. Gonna add a little bit of yellow to that. So there's a lot of different greens going on here. Again, these are just the masses, has nothing to do with the trunks of the trees. I'm adding a little bit more blue, a little bit of burnt sienna, again, a little bit more blue. And I'm going to come up against, just on top of the house here,
Rich blue.
cobalt or ultramarine blue. Now I'm adding cobalt because I want this a little bit cooler back in here. Then right along the ridge, and then start to close in on this area here. Very small brush strokes because I still want that, what I feel is important, that yellow showing through here and there. And again, it's kind of on the very abstract side. I don't want to commit myself that this is a tree, that's a tree. Up against the roof of the house. And again, I'm still working from light to dark because I can always darken it. So using a smaller brush, which at this point, I use a number of different brushes. At the beginning, I'm using all small brushes. And then dragging this over, we need a little bit more color off over here. I'm darkening this up just a little bit more than what the photograph is telling me to do. And that's where I'm going to leave this part of the painting. So up here, I use the burnt sienna and the yellow, a little bit of the cobalt to help gray it. And I showed various colors in the roof. Let me pull it up so you can see it. And it's changing value, temperature, color, and intensities as it moves in different directions. Then what I did with the body of the house is I used the burnt sienna, the ultramarine blue, and the brown madder to get this much warmer brown and deeper brown. And I painted around the windows and I dry brushed into the foliage here. Then I traveled across to here and Poppy sees a deer out in the yard. We've got her convinced that they're actually long-legged corgis. So she keeps on saying, my people, my people. So anyways, I went down in here with a lot of dark blue green and then up and I lightened it with more yellow and more sap green. But I worked very carefully around this yellow here, dry brushing it in so I didn't lose it. Okay?
Wait,
Give you 5 minutes, go.
right,
All right, 6 minutes.
burnt sienna and yellow. You used burnt sienna and yellow for that roof?
Yes. Very, with a lot of water. And cobalt blue is what graded. So it made kind of a green up
Okay, I
in
got
here.
Come here,
What?
I got it.
My child was barking.
come here. Yes. Yeah, you know you're going back in the bedroom.
But I don't want to go in the bedroom. So I'm handling the background in 3 phases. This is first, this will be second, and the foreground will be third. So you'll know what you're anticipating. If you watch what I'm doing here for just a second, I took water with the toothbrush, sprayed it right in here, and I want to lift this up so I get a little bit of lightness in there. And I'm going to repeat that till I get to the desired lightness. So I'll leave it sit there just a moment, and then I'll push down and twist and pull this up so that I end up with that softness in there, no hard edge. And I don't even have to touch the paper with the brush. It's too bad Sydney couldn't be here. I thought she was going to be here.
Somebody said at the last minute they couldn't come, but
That was Denise. She was going to Florida. Something, she must have had something take her time from this. Which happens.
you took for your left side, you took your number 5 brush and did all that,
Yes, I did. It's a little bit more pokey to do it that way, but it gives you a little bit more control with all this dry brushing. I gotta take a picture of this part.
So were you guys getting any more glares this time since we've changed the lights a little bit?
It looks better.
Good.
Thank you. Here, I'll take that. Double wind it.
Can't get water out there. It's funny, we have a sink but no water in it. We keep on going to the sink. One of us is gonna dump something in an empty sink and it's gonna go in the cabinet. I have this feeling.
Do you know what we forgot to get at Home Depot?
Yeah.
The drainers.
Thought about it on the way back from Ace Hardware this morning. Remember, you have to smile and breathe while you're painting.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously. Makes a happier painting.
Okay, I want you to look at this. You don't have to show it to everybody yet, but
All right, not too bad. You can get um, your dark started up in here, Elsie. where my
Uh-huh.
phone is at. Start bringing that across the top of the roof here.
a little bit further to the center.
Yeah, hold it up again so I can see it. And you probably want to close up this gap right in here so there's not, you have a pretty strong yellow streak going right through here.
Huh?
Close that up a little bit.
Okay.
And before we leave or leave the desk here, Mary will show you afterwards, but I'll explain a little bit about the drawing on the barn for this next week.
All right, to the left of the house, what are we dry brushing? Ultramarine.
Ultramarine, are you just starting this over here?
Yeah.
Ultramarine, sap green, burnt sienna. And then I add more of the green and a little bit more of the yellow as I went up. So it's darker here, lighter, warmer as it goes up.
Okay.
And you smile while you do it. That's better.
Yeah. Thank you.
What you also have to remember, Elsie, is that when you're learning watercolor, your paintings will go up and down in what you may want to signify as quality at the beginning,
Yeah,
up and down quite a bit. So you go up and you'll pick up some things you'll do real well, and the next painting you'll do will not be as good as the previous one because most likely of the subject matter is different than what you were doing previously. So you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt. I went up and down quite a bit at the beginning.
Me too.
So did Mary Lee. So did Vanessa.
Not
Hey.
me. Went down.
you lie a lot too, right?
No, every once in a while I go up a little bit, and then Dale goes, "Oh, there's hope," and then
Now, you did quite well in that workshop.
the first one.
Things were becoming much more consistent, which it takes time and painting a little bit every week.
Yeah, I'm done. Well, I think I am.
All right, good. Good. It's holding together real well.
And then at the end, before we start painting, I'll go and we'll show each other's paintings again.
What,
Now, don't play with it. Leave it alone.
all right. cleaning up my palette. Okay, I have a question while we're waiting. You see the little puddles that I have that, like up here?
Yeah. That's all right. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
You probably dropped some water on it,
yeah,
or you had your brush on it too long. And what it does is it takes up the pigment, and you can fix it a little bit, but it's nothing to be worried about. See, if you go back in too late,
yeah, like if I put down some stuff and then I go back in and I'm going over the stuff I just put in, that's dragging it out, right?
right, exactly.
Lifting it out. I mean.
So sometimes when you go back into a larger area too late, but it's still wet, you'll end
Yeah.
up with what you call blooms.
Yeah,
And that most of the time can't be used. You have to somehow soften it, or sometimes it can be used as a texture for ground cover or whatever. I know there's some artists that do it intentionally for ground cover. And I've done it too intentionally, but it's something that, when you want it to happen, it won't sometimes. So you have to understand the timing of things. And that's a learned thing through experience. It's not something that can be taught.
so to learn and experience those things, is it just like doing paintings like this, or are there practice?
Any other type of paintings, the timing of putting down the watercolor on top of another pigment or going from one area to another is experience. Watching it, knowing how it's going to dry, whether it's going to be this value or that value, that's experience. Because sometimes if you change a name brand of paint, it will dry differently in different values.
I think she wanted to know if there's any exercises that you can do.
I suggest painting anything you want and think about how you want to do it, what kind of colors you want to use. And I would suggest using a more limited palette, because then you'll understand without too much color going on about how you can actually use the color and how it's going to react on the paper. But the more you paint, the more you'll understand how you're making mistakes and how to correct them. As soon as you know how to correct them, you won't make them anymore.
You won't make them anymore? You won't make mistakes anymore?
Well, there's occasionally I still do make mistakes that I should know better. If I do, I usually know how to correct it to where it won't influence the painting. You won't see it.
But that comes with time.
But yeah, that comes with a lot of time. I, at one point, and I still do this, take older paintings I wasn't particularly happy with, and I experimented with them. I decided I'm going to try to make this work, and if I don't, I've lost no time, but there's something in there I'll pick up and say, you know what, this is how I would make a correction, or that's how I would make a correction. And on few instances, I made a painting out of it that worked really well, and I sold it where I wasn't happy with it before. But experimenting on old paintings, you're gaining a lot of ideas about what you can do with it and what you can't do with it, and how to make corrections. And it's like you're being self-taught at that point by your previous paintings on how to correct them. And then you, again, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you still learn something. Time is never lost. There was one time just before we got married, I threw out 94 paintings. All right, your roof is still a little bit too dark, Janet.
Oi,
Why?
oi.
And tell them the light and the value. Take a brush and go across it with water and start lifting it with a paper towel until you get to the desired lightness. It's very simple.
No, it was lighter, but then we went in with this next layer and then it got darker again. All right, so you want me to wet a paper towel and go over it?
No, take a
No.
1-inch brush, go across it with water, and then take a paper towel and lift, and do that repeatedly until you get to your desired lightness.
Alrighty.
And don't feel you have to have the roof one value, one color. Allow it to show up with different colors on it, different values.
Oh, it's definitely got different colors and different values.
So that's good. You don't want to lose that.
But you're right, you want it lighter than the body of the house. Okay.
Correct.
I got you. All right. There you go. Nope, still too dark. I can see it.
How are you doing, Vanessa? Okay. All right, good. All right, good, very good.
Well, I can always make the house darker.
Well, we are gonna make the house darker, but
Right, so that'll help. So how's that? Because,
more.
well, then it's gonna lose the variation.
We'll paint up or lift up to the leaves, but not on the leaves. I'll give you 2 minutes. Go.
2001, 2002.
Oh, come on, Elsie, you can start off with Mississippi 1, Mississippi 2. And Elsie, when you are painting, you have choices to make sure that you're understanding value against value makes an edge. In other words, light against dark or dark against light. You have the option of not making an edge, but keeping it on the softer side, so you keep it closer to the same value up against another value. That will also create a softer edge.
Good.
Okay, I'm gonna start again, Janet.
Can I show
Let's-
you?
Yeah, okay, I had to
That's
I
much
have-
better.
put in the dark flashing so you could get the
Good.
change of value.
That's much better.
Let me share each one of
Do you
them.
want to see each other's paintings before we start?
Full screen?
Full screen?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It just pushes me out of the way.
I do. Okay, Elsie, let me get you first, since you've got it up. Here's Elsie.
Okay, good.
Nice.
Cool. Nice.
Thank you.
Janet,
Good variation.
Janet, and replace spotlight. There we go. All right, I got you, Janet.
Okay, we see your smiling face, not to see the painting. Okay, that's much better.
Cool.
And we'll straighten out the width of the windows. They're getting a little wide. We're gonna make them a little bit narrower on both yours and Elsie's. But good.
Hey, Vanessa.
Oh, very nice.
Uh-huh.
We have to
See what going to art school does. Oh my
That
God.
helped.
see
my
has
next
been
life.
painting a while, yes.
And she was an art director, so she was painting in markers for a long time.
Oh my gosh.
That was before computers. Now she's. Okay, all right.
All right, we're gonna go back.
Oops, wait a minute. What did I
Hold
do?
on.
What did I do wrong?
Hello, I don't know. There we go.
No, I didn't do nothing yet. Come on. How do I fix this? Remove spotlight on Vanessa.
There we go. Okay. All right, I'm gonna use my two smaller brushes here. My 5 round and my number 12 round. And I'm gonna start up at the top here and come back around down into here, going around the house at this point. So I'm gonna paint the top of the house and or the leaves at the top. I'm gonna use a lot of cobalt blue. And I'm gonna take the sap green, mix it up in one area and a little bit of the burnt sienna. And then some more of the cobalt there. That's about where we want to be. Don't overmix your colors. And I'm going to dry that off on the paper towel here. And I'm going to start painting. We want this a little bit cooler up above the house. And I'm going to drag it in to that light area like so. And I'm going to take a little bit more and I'm going to drop it in there while it's wet and kind of fuse it with the previous passage of color. I'm going to add a little bit more ultramarine to it in this one spot here. And then take a damp brush and just kind of clear it out. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of burnt sienna at this point. And I'm going to go back over to the left side of the house. And I started to put in burnt sienna here. I want to bring it on down so we have a little bit of warmth hitting the ground here. And I want a little bit, this will tone this down a little bit because it's further back, but it will give us a nice warm glow back there. All right, now I'm going to continue going to the right side of the painting up on top. So I'm going to take the sap green, mixing it right into this puddle of color I previously mixed, some yellow. And I'm going to come in here and tease in, not losing that yellow that's up on top. And then we're going to get really dark after this passage.
And did you add yellow to your colors?
Yes, I did.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And I'm going to tease this in underneath here. So I added a little bit more water. I'm toning down that yellow a little bit there. And I'm going to tone down with a damp brush, bring in the color from the side. So I end up with that soft edge up there right now. So once I put color down, I can also go back in and take just a damp brush and tease things in. So now we're going to go much darker with a bigger brush, lots of ultramarine blue, sap green, and a little bit of the brown matter, which will help gray it down and still make it colorful. So I'm going to come in here from the side in the upper right-hand corner.
Is that your
And
10 brush?
dry brushing. Yes,
The 10 brush?
the number 10, yes. And I'm going to dry brush in these darker colors. And I'm going to take the toothbrush with lots of water on it and some of the color And I'm going to spritz that into here so that it all softens into this yellow, but it has a lot of water in it. And I want to kind of tease into this yellow area. So I wet this with water first. And I got a little bit more out here. And I'm going to tease that in with just water and a little bit of color. So I'm not losing the yellow completely, but I am softening it because it can't be that bright, that light when it's trapped by darks. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to this as we come back into the woods back here and down where it receives a little bit less light. Then back out with more water. I'm going to do the same thing with this splotch of yellow here, is I'm going to soften it with water and a little bit of color. I'm going to take a little bit of this dark and I'm going to drop it in here. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to go right on down. I'm going to come right up against the house here. I don't want to lose this basic thing, so I'm taking a lot of water with the pigment. So I maintain that. More ultramarine blue, sap green, and brown madder. And we're going to get a little bit darker back in here. Introduce some dark in here while it's still wet. So I was waiting for it to sit there a little bit. So that's about the timing that I tried to work with. Give a feeling of some of the leaves coming out, then back down to the bottom. And dry brushing this in, still allowing the original color to show through in many spots, which will help give you the depth that we're looking for. Because that will give us a feeling of things coming forward, things going in. And we have this fairly dark spot here, which is a small tree. And I'm going to dry brush the rest of it in up into the building here a little bit, leaving that light show, which is important separation of that shrub or whatever. Adding some more dark in here. Then I'm going to come in with the bigger brush and I'm going to use some cobalt blue. Quite a bit of it down in here. And then we get to the green with the yellow. And we're going to come out that side while it's still wet and allowing this to show up, getting light from the sun that's poking through. And then we have a little bit of cobalt blue with lots of water in it up against the building that's receiving, again, a little bit less light. And I'm going to take my 1-inch brush and I'm going to pull that up just a little bit. It's tinted it. And I want to remain having this line here. And a little bit more blue as we travel across to here, because the ferns and so forth are in shadow. I'm going to leave it there for a minute so it stains the paper, and then I'll take and come in and softly pull it up. It's a matter of timing, because that pigment will go into the paper, and what I'm doing initially is lifting it. Now I'm going to take this darker green here, because we're now having some darks coming in here that signify the upright vertical position of some of the ferns that come in here like so. They receive less light than horizontal or angled. And then I just take water, smooth it out like so. And I'm going to come in here with pure cobalt blue in a couple of spots as accents. That will set off that a little bit more. And then tone this down, put my toothbrush down, go back to the bigger round brush. Putting in small accents of the cobalt blue just to set it off a little bit. Now I'm going to come in with the floor of the forest. I'm going to add lots of yellow to the sap green. And I'm going to come in here like so. Very casually. A little bit of that blue brought in. And I'm going to put in a lot of blue way in the background. That's way back here. Put it down, leave it just a little bit, take a damp brush, move it around, and go back to the yellow-green. Right up against it so it softens. And then I'm going to use more green with the blue, cobalt blue, and I'm going to put it off in this corner here and being very casual about it. And I want to tone down this down here that starts to go into shadow. And I'm, again, putting it down, leaving it, not messing with it. So crisscrossing it gives it a little bit of texture. I'm painting in the direction of the way things look to me. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pull out a little bit of light that's hitting here. A little bit of light that's hitting back here. And some that's hitting right in here. And it's minor little light spots. If they're too light, they're going to stick out. So I'm trying not to make them too light. Get rid of that white of the paper, like so. And I'll leave that dry. So I came up into the top first, melded this sequence with this, with the blue-green that's grayed down slightly with the burnt sienna. Then I went and I painted casually, dry brushing into the yellow, and then I hit it with a little bit of water and softened it so that yellow is not as sharp edged. I want, this is going to be softened here too, but not as much as this was. Then I came in here with the more of the green with the ultramarine blue, a little bit of the burnt sienna, again, dry brushing into the yellow. And then I came down here with lots of ultramarine blue with the same combination, but I added more blue to it. And then I came out here adding cobalt blue. And then I added the little bit of the straighter green with the yellow. And there's a couple little things at the bottom here. And I tried to give the upright position of the ferns a little bit more dark. But what I'm going to do here, there's a little bit of lightness here that I want to have maintained, like so. And a little bit right back here. So I'm lifting it with a damp brush. Get fresh water, pull all the water out with the paper towel, and I go from there. And the only thing I want to do just for the fun of it is I'm taking cobalt blue. I want to put a little bit of cobalt blue passage back in a few areas back in here so that recedes. Very light, very casual. You don't even have to think about it.
And you put the, on the left-hand side, you put a little bit of the,
Oh,
you round this up, that light in there.
yeah, that burnt, I put burnt sienna in here.
Sienna. Okay.
Yes, just a light wash. So it has a tendency of having a little bit better glow back there.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to leave that dry before I take a picture, but I want to see if I can find the original painting that I did. I don't know how many years ago, but it's a much simpler handling of the subject matter. There it is. This was the first one, if you could see that. There we go.
Neat.
So that was the first interpretation. I never paint, if I'm painting the same subject, I never paint it the same.
Oh.
Sitting on one of the kitchen stools, so the back would help you up better.
Mhm. Oh, too brown.
Started at 2, right?
Yes.
I think we lost Janet.
That's not
I
us.
think she said, oh, she's still there.
She keeps on falling off for some reason.
I'm here.
Oh,
I just turned my sound off.
oh, then we lost Elsie.
Yeah, I switched to my iPad because I was falling off on my computer.
You wanted to lose Elsie, but
I don't see Elsie. Are you there?
I can see you.
Okay, I can't see you,
Mm.
If I can find
which
her.
means it's like a seance.
Let me see.
All I can see is Vanessa. But they can see me.
Oh, you know what, I gotta try this.
As long as we can see you, right?
There you
Okay,
go.
all right, I got you all back.
See, it was, I had them on that. They
Oh,
should have been on
okay.
that one.
Uh-oh.
Any questions at all? I started using a lot more cobalt blue down in here, remember? Gives it a nice little glow, and then I used it again in the background over here, which helped push it back a little bit.
Losing my curves.
Wait, I need some help with direction here.
Okay. You need to bring the dark down into here a little bit more,
Yeah,
up against the road or whatever you want to call it, the grassy lane. And then it'll get lighter as it comes back across there. So you want to bring this over to the house on that triangle right there. You have it cutting up to the house to that second window.
oh, okay, so it's not, no,
That will help bring it out and envelope the house a little bit better. I always try to look at the geometric shapes of things in nature.
yeah, it makes sense.
Using sign in, something.
Yeah, would you pop up?
Should I allow it?
Yes.
You want your Apple ID number?
Yeah.
3/8,
Three
Yeah.
eight, three, 3 8.
3/8, and then an 870.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's gone. So Elsie, you still have family in Milwaukee?
More in the Janesville area,
Okay,
Madison area.
yeah. We decided to stay with the cold and the snow, huh?
You decided to stay in the cold and the snow. I
Yeah,
decided to not stay in the cold and the
I
snow.
know, but they decided that they're gonna stay.
Oh, yeah. They say they'd like to come here, but they like it up there. So could you make sure that you have one of your workshops, either the end of June or the middle of July next year, up at Dillman's?
They actually give me the dates. I could try requesting them, but they're more likely to hand me what they have.
But I got it written down.
But we'll write it down and
Just for me, I mean, you know, nobody else matters, but
Elsie's gonna pay for, 18, 20 students and
She's, no,
she'll
she's
be the
thinking
only
about the
class.
dinner.
all right. Right, we're gonna try to have a family reunion the 13th of July, and so I'm trying to work around those dates.
Okay. I'll see what they have and see if I can request. That's between June and August, right?
You're
It's-
funny.
Just want to make sure. The lady at the cash register at Ace Hardware today didn't know what day it was. I told her it was Tuesday. She
Oh,
says,
you're
oh,
mean.
okay.
You're mean.
That looks too dark.
What is? No, now you need to give this a little bit more of a scalloped edge with dry brushing. Let me hold the painting up closer. See all the various edges in there?
Uh-huh.
Try dry brushing in on the, not a light side or a dark side, but in the middle tones.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, how we doing? I'll have to go and finish this up at this point pretty soon.
Let me show you everybody's full screen.
Hey, Dale.
Good. Okay, wonderful. I like all the blue that you got in here.
Cool. Thanks.
Might have to copy that myself.
Yep.
Mary Lee wants to see your painting, Vanessa.
I'm gonna spotlight you. Ooh, just a minute, let me get a big screen.
Oh.
Oh, that's pretty.
Mhm.
It's amazing how different everybody's looks.
Yeah, hers looks like trees.
Well, she's been painting trees a little bit longer too.
Yep.
Okay, who's next?
I will.
All right, that's coming along. That's not bad at all, Elise.
Ask Vanessa,
Elsie.
ask Vanessa how many paintings she's done in her lifetime.
Me?
Yeah, Elsie.
Vanessa,
Got up to about 100 in the last couple of years, but I haven't painted that much really
lately.
lately. In the last, yeah, I got up to about 90 when I first started around COVID.
Yeah,
I started painting after a couple of lessons from Dale, which were great, and just started painting and then stopped a couple of years ago and then started up with this class. So
And then prior to that, you hadn't painted watercolor, what, in 40 years?
40 years, yeah. It was a long time.
she started when she was 2.
Yeah, right.
She's finally legal to drink, that's all I can tell you.
No, I've got my Medicare card.
I know. I got
well,
you.
can you take me off the screen?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Take me off the screen.
All right.
No,
Janet.
you're doing fine, Elsie. Trust me.
Janet, I got you on the screen.
I've taught many, many beginners over the years.
Janet,
She's not listening to you.
She's on mute.
I know, but she can hear us.
look at her.
All right, that's coming along.
It's good.
You need more work in the foreground, but you're coming along. Could be a little bit smoother and a little bit less choppy, but you're fine.
Yeah, well, I needed to see your painting. I was like quickly rushing as Marilee put me on the spotlight.
That's,
Okay.
that's all right.
Can I see your painting again?
Just a minute. I'm replaying. Okay. There you go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now
I'm gonna get started again so I can finish this up. So I'm gonna start off with the building first, and then I'm gonna work out in all directions and finish this. So I'm gonna take the 2 small round brushes that I have, wherever the second one went, there it is. And I am going to first work with the body of the house. And I'm going to take the ultramarine blue and the brown madder and some burnt sienna, a little bit more ultramarine blue. And I'm going to start painting. I'm going to add a little water to this, so it doesn't get too dark. So I'm going to paint underneath the eaves first. Back into the foliage, kind of drift it in a little bit, soften it. And I'm going to take that same paint that I put down, and I'm going to drag down some of that pigment. I'm going to add a little bit to it. But I want these windows to be even somewhat. I'm going to take a little bit of ultramarine blue, and I'm going to put it underneath the eaves. And at this point, I'm working fairly fast. So I'm darkening up this building here, straightening out the windows a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of the cobalt blue, take a little bit of the color that I had mixed together, and I'm going to put that down in here, like so. Like this, and I'll come back into the windows in a second. So I got quite a bit of dark on the building. I'm going to add a few accents of darks here and there to give it kind of a muddled look here and there so that it's not all flat. And then I'm going to go up to the roof up on top, and I want to take the same blue that I mixed for down here, and I want to give it a little bit of a tone of shadow up against certain areas, just a little bit different than what's in the photograph. Just so it has a little bit of cast shadow showing on it. Not too much. I'm going to add an accent of cobalt blue again at the bottom because it kind of disappeared on me. And right along this edge here. Now, this area is still bothering me right here. So I got to tone some of this down. So I'm going to take that sap green with a little bit of yellow and a little bit of that cobalt. And I'm going to tone this down just a little bit down, especially down here. I'm going to take the sap green, mix it in with the dark I did for the body of the house. And I want to bring in a little bit of darkness up against that peak there. Like so, and then kind of give it a little bit of a raggedy edge so it doesn't look so perfect. And then tone this down just a little bit. Take a little bit of that blue and I'm going to plop it right back in here. And then as I go up on the upside of this, up the middle, I'm going to take the cobalt blue, mix it in with the yellow green, and I'm going to tone that down. It's a little bit too much. And if it was, I'm going to leave it there a minute, and then I'm going to take it and pull up just a little bit so it doesn't totally disappear. And take the sap green with the ultramarine blue in it again. So these are all little touches that I'm doing, and I'm going to drag this, dry brush it, drag it into this area here. So it kind of mutes some of that just a little bit. And I'm going to add a little bit of a dark down here against the building. And I'm going to take just a little bit of that color and I'm going to drag it up in here. So I'm squinting down, looking at all the smaller and smaller areas and toning things down where they need to be so that they fall back a little bit more. It's a lot of little things that I'm adjusting at this point. I'm going to take a little bit more of the cobalt blue and I'm going to put it right in here up against the cabin. And I'm going to make a darker blue-green here by taking the ultramarine blue, the sap, a little bit of the burnt sienna, and I'm going to dry it off on my paper towel. And I need to get this a lot darker in here. And I need to close in some of this yellow light that's going on here. And I want to put a little bit more over here in the background. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the brown matter, the ultramarine blue, a little bit of the green, and I'm going to plant a few trunks in here. So we have the forest being held up by the trees that are back there. And I'm going to watch the size of these. And I'm dry brushing them in at this point. I don't want to commit too much too far. And I'm going to put one over here separated from those. So we have a variety of trees of size and separation and coming down at different points down here. So they show a different position in the landscape. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a darker version of that tree. So it's more of the brown matter, ultramarine blue, and a little bit of the green, not too much. And I'm going to put this tree going in and out of the foliage here. Take my finger and soften it a little bit here and there. So this starts to show and make sense of the foliage a little bit more. And then I'm going to put another skinny one right here, up through there. Still think we need a bigger one over here. I keep on looking around the whole painting at the same time. See what I need, where I need it. Anticipating that these trunks will get lighter as they dry. If I need to darken them up, I always can do that. So I'm adding more burnt sienna to a small tree out here, sapling. I'm going to bring it up and across, like so. And then I'm going to take that cobalt blue, with a little bit of that brown, and I'm going to put some value tone into the windows. Got a little bit of green going on in there. I'll tone the frames down in a little bit. And I'm going to take the sap green and ultramarine blue again with a little bit of burnt sienna. And I want to come in here and I want to separate this mass back here from this. So it doesn't become all one. It has to be separated subtly. So I'm changing my color every so often. I'm adding some darker leaves up in here to add a little bit more interest and contrast of value, not too much. Something to overhang in the cabin. I'm going to add an accent of cobalt blue back in here, and then spread it around a little bit. And then we need a larger tree again, off in a distance over here. And I'm going to lean that back into the picture plane a little bit. And just sort of have it disappear up in here. And then come in here and start defining some of these ferns in here, just the planes of the ferns, nothing too specific. And I'm going to take that cobalt blue grade down with a little bit of green and with some water, because these window frames are starting to bother me. They need to be toned down so that they just fall back a little bit. And some more blue-green. That's grayed down already. I have some puddle of brown there. I gotta tip this up just a little bit because I'm getting a glare. There we go. But I'm trying to keep this quite a bit on the simple side. I don't want to go into any great detail. I'm going to bring another tree up right here and one right next to it. And a little skinny one that leans away from the building right here. I still have the roof to consider with a little bit of texture. I'm adding a lot of small darks that you might think are insignificant, but they do create the contrast that I'm looking for. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush, my 1-inch brush here, and I'm going to pull out the feeling of the ruts of the road, and then paint around it in a minute when this dries. But I'm just going to suggest a couple of areas here, not too much. And while that dries, I'll go to the roof of the house. So I'm jumping around a lot at this point. And I'm going to lift out a few little things here. I think we can probably pull out a lighter value birch poplar right back in here, just to bring a little bit of interest back in here, and another one next to it, and one out here. So there's three. Three is always better than two. And let's see. Okay. Now we're going to go to the green with a little bit of the cobalt blue and some yellow with lots of water. And I'm going to start toning some of this ground in a little bit. Make it just a little bit darker as it comes in out of the light. Again, I'm going to tilt this up just a little bit so I can see it. And then down the middle of the road so that I'm playing value against value. A little bit off over here. Yeah, a little bit of cobalt. So this part fades off, or the grass fades off a little bit. Then I'm going to take the toothbrush with a little bit of the yellow in it. I'm going to spritz that in here a little bit. Not too much. And a little bit back in here. And some little yellow flowers along the driveway. Let's see if I can get this more pure looking. I'm taking just pure yellow at this point.
Dandelions.
What's that?
Dandelions.
Dandelions, they're good for wine and they're good for eating. Just have to work with them a little bit more. Okay. Going back to the roof a little bit, I'm going to take this warmish gray color and I'm going to tone down the roof just a little bit more. And then take water and just sort of spread it out. Leave that dry. Come in with my number 5 with the ultramarine blue, the brown madder, and do a little bit of work around the windows for accents and so forth. Very casual. I don't want this to look like it's a cabin that's perfect. I'm going to put in a little bit of feeling of the siding on here and there. Not a lot. So if you can see like the lap siding on there, And I want to tone this board down now, the fascia board. Take a little bit of darkness that shows underneath the tiles here a little bit. Like so. And let's see, the light's coming from that way. So I'm going to put a stovepipe in here to break up the roof a little bit more.
You don't want to put that satellite dish on top of it?
No, that's okay. I think I can forego that. And a little bit of a cast shadow here. Now, a lot of little things in here I can add for some darks and so forth, but I don't want to get carried away. But I'll add a few accents on and around the focal point. A little bit more in here. And then there's some back in here that I got to carry through. And these are just brush marks. I'm not trying to delineate the ferns at all. I just want to give a sense that there is a texture going on there. I'm going to add some more cobalt blue in here to tone this down against the building. And then finally, with my rigger, some last hint at branches. Even though there's none showing in the picture that are prominent, I want to put a few in here that will signify that the tree does have branches. And a few little ones back here. Finish that tree off. Just little things here and there. But again, I don't want to take it to the nth degree at this point. As a demonstration is a learning tool, not a finished painting. I'm going to soften this, it goes out too far, too dark. So let's take the tape off, see where we're at.
Well,
Oh,
Oh.
there you go.
my observation is that we just, what, 2.5 hours?
Yes,
We didn't lose you.
I know.
I know. I didn't want to say anything to
Hates it.
jinx it up at all. I'm very happy about that. We noticed lately in the last few months, and this will vary, during the summer, certain people come up that have prominence, lawyers and politicians and AT&T CEOs, and the signal gets stronger.
We're on Starlink, Dale.
I know, but we're on Starlink, but things have a tendency of working differently. And I hope this carries on because Starlink has strengthened a couple of things. as far as what we've heard. We don't know what and how long it will last, and they like to experiment with things, but this is where we ended up, folks.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes,
Okay.
In your background on the right-hand side, I mean, mine is really, really dark. Do I just have to, I mean, you have lightness back there. Is that just from adding that cobalt blue, or did you paint it lighter?
I may have painted it lighter, but if you remember way back when I was doing this, after I laid this down and it dried, I took the toothbrush just with water and spritzed it and pulled up. I pulled up a lot in here, and I pulled up some up in here. So the toothbrush can add and subtract color.
But your timing has to be right. mean-
To do it when it's dry, you're pretty safe. I pulled this all up when it was dry.
In the right-hand side of the painting too?
Over here. Oh,
Yeah.
no, this was layer upon layer. I'm sorry, I was on the wrong side. That over here, this right here, this color was the first layer. This was the first layer up in here. Then what I did is I used this very fluid watercolor up in here. As I came down, I darkened it because it's receiving less light. And then I dry brushed it into this area that was semi-wet.
And you kind of left that area closer to the barn or to the house a little lighter.
Yes, I left it a little bit lighter so that this value plays off of that value. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, I mean, I could have noodled around in this area here. I decided not to because it doesn't prove any point. I want you to understand how to lay the color down and leave some of it and add to some of it.
And you'll send out the
The video, oh yeah, the video will be sent out
And the start to finish packet.
and the start to finish packet.
So I need to stop and start the video to do the detail work.
I understand that. That's the main point why Mary Lynn really decided to do this. And she says, and I says, we need to keep doing that because that helps the students finish up their painting, go back over it, or sometimes I've had students redo the whole painting where they could stop and start where they feel they need to.
Yeah. It really helped.
Good.
Can we
But-
get the video from this week's class?
What's that?
The video from this week's class, the one you just did before this?
Oh, on Thursday?
It's
Yeah.
out. It's out.
That's out.
That is.
Yeah, I got it this morning. You must have been up at
Janet.
5
No.
a.m.
Yeah, okay, I'll have to check my junk mail then. Shoot.
If not,
Thank you.
Let Mary Lee know and she can send it out to you again.
Yeah, because I was watching for it. Thank you for letting me know. I'm glad I asked. Yep, there it is in junk. Okay, cool.
But I'm glad this class worked all the way through.
me too.
Like Elsie said, there was no blackouts at any point. We're excited about that, trust me.
So does that mean we'll do the classes this way then?
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we can be in our jammies.
Right.
Mary Lee can, I can't.
Why, we never see you.
Right. We wouldn't know.
Well, he must come. All right.
All right, well, thank you. And I'm glad you were here to see we got all the way through.